Earth debate live. I'm your host, Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, how dare you, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon, and join button if you'd like to become a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member and keep up to date with the Flat Earth debate. If you would like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they are live, and there's also a Coffee, Patreon, crypto, and thanks button in the info box below the video. Most importantly, if you'd like to join the discussion, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the nature of Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using stock accounts. You'll be warmly welcome back on the next stream. Please also share the show on social media. Sharing the show obviously increases the live audience, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel, so please share the show on Facebook and X. Now we are joined by Neil, Sensual Goat, Eli, and a whole bunch of people in the Flat Earth Debate Discord server, so welcome one and all.
Good morning, folks.
Let's get it on!
Good afternoon.
Oh, such an enthusiastic start. Well, it's very good to be here. How do you feel like it went on Friday at the politics Discord server? Each time we go, it gets more and more subdued. My favorite.
It's the content we have.
My favorite comments are when they are repetitions of comments and criticisms that we get here in, we'll call it our server. But over there, I'm a guest. I'm not running the show in that regard. It's not my server. I don't run the rules or set the rules or have any say in the rules. I'm a guest. So I've got to mind my P's and Q's, thank the moderators for having us there, all those sorts of things. But then when you get the comments about echo chambers and controlling mute buttons and all this sort of stuff, you're like, hello? It's not my server. I'm a guest there. That's the point. But yet, the decline of interaction from ballers has followed the exact same pattern. It's just now there's no bullshit about boycotts or any of that crap that we used to get from our own server. Oh, we'll boycott them because we're unfairly treated. All right, are you unfairly treated in a genuinely unbiased, neutral platform that I don't have control of? Oh, well, you'll still accuse me of it, won't you? While you all slowly fade into the total obscurity that you have done over on that server while we are in attendance. Nobody wanted to deal with this. And why is that? Is it because of control the mute button? So yeah, with that in mind, how does everybody think it's going over on Politics Discord server? See, they're all pretending, audience, pretending to be enthusiastic. Lead them with a gem like that and they all go completely silent. No one comes off mute. No one's interacting with me. No one's enthused to start the Monday the way it should be. Yeah, they all seemed so keen, didn't they? Please share the show. I'm sure
There's a lot of ballers.
It does.
Sorry. There's a lot of ballers in there a lot of the time, but they seem to clear out 10 minutes before your show starts.
Shocking.
You've got them all running.
Yeah, and as I say, I'm running my show from a different server for that very reason. Anyway, check it out. It's, for whatever reason, maybe it's the thumbnails I pick. I just pick, like, various animals fighting to represent the politics server shows. So if you see a thumbnail that's got an FED number on it, and it's got 2 bears fighting, or 2 cockroaches fighting, or whatever it is I put on next, maybe I should change that. Rats fighting, yeah, that was the last one. But yeah, those are the shows. So typically speaking, over the course of however long we've been doing them now, since the beginning of the year, periodically at first, but more frequently in recent history, they are the ones that get the most interaction from the ballers, i.e. the most Flat Earth debate. I was saying in the pre-show that the show title is true in name only. Until the entirety of the Western world is converted to the understanding and knowledge that Earth is measured flat, the, in quotes, debate will continue, as in people will perceive that there is one. In reality, there isn't. The moment we concede that we understand how the globe comes to fruition from flat Earth measurements, there is no longer debate to have. But we will keep peddling that message, and I peddle it each time we get into that server, which is to say my purpose in continuing to be here will be to tell the server that is someone that isn't our server when we're preaching to the converted, a group of effectively unknowns. Obviously, we know the moderators quite well now, or at least one of them, AJ. He does also join the Flat Earth debate server periodically. But there we go. Our message is to say move forward on the front foot as a flat earther. Now, it's come to my attention, although I didn't know this over the weekend, that both myself and Level Earth Observer have come under criticism for being shills. I don't know, I haven't watched the video in this regard. But for being critical of our own side when it comes to things like understanding of the scientific methodology that has been hijacked to claim things like a globe. When we criticise people like Candice Owens for throwing the baby out with the bathwater when they decry science as being a religion, when in reality the people who have used the words of science never had it to begin with. They were hijacking the empiricism that is offered by science. Therefore, to throw science under the bus would be doing a disservice to an empirical methodology. It's also doing a disservice for the reasoning that they've stolen that terminology, like theory, experiment, science itself. They've used the terminology because it does conjure the image of empiricism, and it conjures it for a reason. The methodology does have it. Now, we have been critical of our own side, who still to this day, 10 years down the line of this subject, don't understand the how of the globe deception. They can tell the audience till they're blue in the face how the globe doesn't work, but they can't explain how we were deceived into being on a globe. And that is what we explain when we go through the methodology of science and the scientific method, that is physics, to show why they have used this magic trick to convince you of things that they have no empiricism for. That would be just so stories about lights in the sky, under the banner of science, which it isn't. So for that reason, even though I've not watched these videos that I've been told about in the pre-show, it's worth doing a quick response for anybody who's watching and going, I wonder if he'll respond to what Jaron had said about him and Level Earth Observer being presumably scammers, frauds, whatever it is that Jaron's currently saying about us. Interesting that only after literally in the last week reaching back out to him to answer questions about fallacy construction, specifically because he's about to go down and affirm the consequent for the second time after his first Netflix disaster. Perhaps he feels like that is in need of defence, therefore calling me a shill will overcome the fact that he hadn't actually recognised the affirming the consequent fallacy that I had to explain to him recently via Skype. Nevertheless, Jaron's decided that that requires me to be called a scammer again. God only knows why. Maybe Jaron is intimidated by me. It's the only conclusion I can now draw. How sad.
I don't know when you're going to learn, Nathan. He's not worth the time. He's not worth the effort. Just keep doing what we're doing.
You seem
Let
to think...
him go the way he's going to go.
You've misinterpreted this by saying he's not worth the time. No, perhaps not. Perhaps Jaron as an individual is not worth my effort. I would agree. However, what Jaron does and represents, and the embarrassment potential that he can and has caused, are worth my attention. That is to say that if Jaron is not made aware of the affirming the consequent fallacy used by the good pastor taking them all to Antarctica, then what's he going to do? Fall victim of it again like he did with Netflix? No, that caused a great deal of embarrassment for me as a flat earther personally. Whether or not Jaron is worth my time is irrelevant. The embarrassment he can cause us all is palpable, even now. So I would prefer to get in touch with this individual and point out where the person taking him to Antarctica merely has an affirming the consequent fallacy to punt, under the banner of science and experimentation, end quote. It isn't. Now, you'd think 10 years down the line of me attempting to explain what science is, therefore undermining this experiment, somebody using the exact same bleeding magic trick to affirm the consequent, that's formulate a logical fallacy. That's worth knowing if you're going to fall victim of it and make every flat earther look like an idiot like they did with Netflix. Now, I would prefer that didn't happen, regardless of my liking of somebody, Neil. Whether or not I like the man is irrelevant. He can cause us great harm, can't he? For embarrassment and inability to understand fallacy.
He's not going to listen to a word you say. He's not going to listen to anything you say, Nathan.
It's hard not to, Neil. You have to understand that some of the arguments that we put out into the arena of flat earth discussion are parroted to the point where we have heard in years gone by how irritating it is to hear these winning arguments punted by the people who actually go out and debate, when they're repetitions of arguments that have come from flat earth debate. How irritating it is for these people who go out talking about ether to hear winning arguments parroted by people that haven't listened to them and parroted garbage. Yeah, that irritates them, doesn't it, Neil? We've heard all about how our winning arguments, when they are making their way through the actual field of argumentation, through the enemy, destroying them, that irritates them, doesn't it, Neil? How would this be any different? Well, I'll get my irritation for the embarrassment that they'll suffer if they don't pay attention to the affirming the consequent fallacy they're all guilty of, if they don't recognise the experiment that it isn't, like they didn't last time. Well, last time I only got to tell them after the fact, much to their irritation, where they banished me from their community that they have taken ownership of with new age garbage. Well, in this instance, people will listen. Who's off mute? Put yourself on mute, whoever that is. I'm trying to rant here. Ruining my audio. Yeah. The irritation was put to the Globe Busters team after the fact, after Netflix, explaining the affirming the consequent with gyro compasses and pendulums. This time, it's with antipodal positioning. Now, this time, I'm not going to be as cowardly as to sit in the sidelines, wait and see what happens, hope for the best, and then be embarrassed to be a flat earther after the fact. This time, I can do it in advance. It's just an affirming the consequent formal logical fallacy. If we assume Earth is a sphere with antipodal positioning, then we will observe 24-hour sun in the Antarctic region. We observe 24-hour sun in the Antarctic region, therefore my antipodal global assumption is true. That's it. That's all this is. Same as Netflix. Shocking, isn't it? It's just this time it's slightly more egregious and obvious what we've been telling these people for years, because it's under the banner of an experiment. Again! Now, if this doesn't embarrass them after the fact when people take note, they prick their ears up. No, he told you in advance, didn't he? Yeah, I did. So if they suffer the embarrassment this time, what will I do? Turn around and tell you I told you so? No, I'll detach myself further, won't I? Yes, we already knew before it happened, didn't we? It was obvious to us.
Now, the funny thing is I don't want to rewrite history, not saying anybody here is, but I want to remember Whitsitt in the moments that he debated alongside me and maybe a lot of you out there, where he called Globers out for affirming the consequent. I wonder what he feels about this.
I have no idea, nor do I care. All I know is that the people who are going down to Antarctica need to be made acutely aware of the fallacy that's being employed. That is to say, they assume antipodal assumptions. You go out towards the horizon with the sky above you and the ground below you, on a horizontal plane of reference in a direction that can only be flat. And when you arrive, having traversed the flat plane towards the horizon with navigation systems that require Earth to be measured and navigated flat, you assume that you are antipodal from where you began. Then you can affirm that something you see in the sky confirms your antipodal positioning system that you hadn't utilised to get there, that you hadn't observed on the journey. That's how it works. It is that simple. What we do is far more advanced. Affirming the consequent, something that we were covering 5 years ago in terms of almost every argument that they will ever put together that claims to be a globe proof. We now take aspects of the affirming the consequent fallacy, which is to say the antipodal aspect. Well, where have they got this antipodal assumption from? Well, I'll tell you where they've got it from. They've got it from a latitude-based north system that's been stretched around a globe and imposed on a non-Polaris, non-centric system that can be inferred in the south. With these two mapped star systems with respect to angles off a flat plane, you can create two separate systems with a hemispherical view of the stars representing the angles that you can see a flat sky through when you measure them on a flat plane. With those two hemispherical systems, you can put one underneath the other. That is one flat plane antipodal from another in a model. That model is called the celestial sphere model. Two flat Earth planes antipodal from one another. With the Haversine, you can then project points that match the GP systems from a flat plane measurement through points on a globe, through the globe to the points on the star they were originally measured through. That's where you get your globe conversion. You can then take that globe conversion and project it onto points on a tube to cut down the middle and roll out flat. That is how our system of navigation is used for G, that's global, positioning system. Global in name only. Projected onto a flat Mercator projection using areas of equal elevation, circles of equal altitude, in order to navigate the seas as a flat, horizontal plane of reference. There is no antipodal anything beyond the models of a flat plane originating in measurements that are angles off a flat plane to the stars that we use to navigate the Earth. So to assume that this inference, when you reverse engineer the flat map called the Mercator onto a tube, to project the tube points back onto a globe, to take the points from a globe and stretch them back out, onto a flat map for the angles that you measure off Earth to the stars, with a Polaris-centric system for the north and a Sigma-Octantis-centric system for the south. At no point do you get a curved surface. You get two antipodal flat planes to create the celestial sphere. One can only be used at any particular time, north or south, and it will always be with respect to a flat Earth we are negotiating and measuring. These are the facts of the matter when you assume your antipodal globe positioning. No, you travelled along a flat surface towards the horizon with respect to flat navigational points of reference in the sky. That is what you actually do. Earth is measured flat. This extrapolation that then moves on to a reification to infer antipodal positioning when travelling on that flat plane is nothing more than an absurdity, let alone something that I would allow or tolerate when it comes to a claim to be logical consistency that's claimed to be an experiment. It's a bleeding outrage. We've been doing this for 10 years. Shout out to Pablo. Says, did the shooter miscalculate the Coriolis effect? Let's flatline these ballers. I speculated that immediately as soon as I saw the news, because we were doing an after show, I think, when it came in. Yeah, we all kind of agreed that that's what we would put into the rhetoric. So it's because the shooter has calculated for Coriolis, and therefore incorporating this effect that doesn't actually happen meant he was off. Thank you for the super chat.
The thing is as well, Nathan, is that the term antipodal, it glosses over the fact that it's a claim that somebody else is on the other side of a spinning ball. So that's a bit awkward and uncomfortable to say. Yeah. So antipodal allows you to brush over that cognitively.
Yeah, but the inference has come from a measurement of two flat planes that then get sandwiched underneath each other in a model and then get projected points around a spherical star-based system called the celestial sphere, so they can convert it to a global system between the flat plane that you've actually measured and the points in the sky that you can call a globe surface, to then reify and pretend you're moving around when the actual functionality of the mapping and navigating systems are all flat. So it makes no logical sense to infer the sphericity, to reify the antipodal positioning, to put it into an affirming the consequent fallacy. But we can say that 10 years down the line of this discussion, our counterparts in Flat Earth say that we're shills. Shout out to TVH. Says, may I have a shout out to my pet dog named Tika, who also thinks Nathan Oakley is a legend. Shout out to Tika. Sounds delicious.
In Korea, maybe.
Yum, yum, yum. I'll have two.
Is that Indian food, Tika?
Probably not. It's something we refer to here in England. But anyway, my eating a dog joke has obviously not garnered many laughs. Let's move on. We have actually got video to cover today. We had a choice. Do I still give the straw poll I was going to suggest to the audience? Or do we just go with the one we were talking about, which is the Antarctic one?
Yes, Antarctic.
My question was, should I do a straw poll?
Yeah, I guess give the audience the opportunity to pick. That would be nice.
Okay, there's a couple of videos that we can choose to cover today, and well, I say the crowd in Discord and G+, there was only 2 people that piped up. One said they wanted one, and one said the other. So one is this? I don't know who the videographer is. It Auto did? Who's Auto did? Anyway, we've got going to Antarctica to prove flat Earth, and we've got Roseanne Barr with David Weiss. So if you want us to cover Roseanne Barr with David Weiss, type a number 1 in the live stream chat. And if you would prefer that we covered, as we're on topic with it currently, it would be a very easy segue. The Going to Antarctica to Prove Flat Earth by Auto. What's the name of this channel? Let's just make this bigger. Autodidactic. There we go. So let us know in the chat. 1 for Roseanne Barr and Dave Weiss. 2 for Going to Antarctica. Let us know in the chat. Got mostly 2 so far. Wow, not much enthusiasm for Dave Weiss.
Nathan.
Go ahead.
Okay, can I go ahead quickly? Sorry.
Yeah,
Can you hear me?
go ahead.
Okay, cool. Look, while we were talking about this whole Antarctica business that Jared and them are going down to, I was thinking it's not only that it's the globe model that they're reaffirming, right? It's also the map, the AE map that they're trying to reaffirm as well. That's causing them a problem. Because I remember him saying when this whole thing came up, if we need to go down there because otherwise there's problems with the map that they present. And then I'm thinking about that, and I realize now that that map has direct relation to Dave's wife's app, isn't it? So maybe that's the whole.
You'll have to go through that again because I didn't really follow along. I was counting numbers in the live stream chat.
Sorry about that.
Honest. I can't do 2 things at once.
No worries.
I was counting the numbers. So far, it looks like we're covering Roseanne Barr.
Now, my thing is, they are very much tied to their AE map. That's also a problem, and that's this whole thing, because Jaren is standing on it that we must go down there because if we don't, then there's a problem with flat Earth, right? But it's not a problem with flat Earth. It's a problem with the fact that they hold to dear to that map. That's the problem.
Right, 2 people have changed their votes, which means, by my reckoning, it's basically level pegging because 2 people changed their votes.
So it's your choice then.
A couple more people need to vote so we can get a definitive winner. It was Dave Weiss by a country mile. Now it's yeah, I know you changed your vote OBE lines, as did Fisherman in a Box, which throws things off. I think we're going to go with Roseanne Barr. I think that is going to be the predominant winner, even with a revote. Okie dokie. Right, yeah, we're going to cover Dave. We've covered a lot of Dave recently. Maybe this is why I'm being called a shill, because I'm nothing but critical of Dave. Hey ho, it's what the audience want. What can I say? I did do a straw poll. It could have covered Auto, whatever he's called, but we didn't. We're covering this. Okay, this is less subscribed to than I was expecting. Roseanne Barr's podcast's got 500,000 subscribers. I thought she'd have more than that. Man, I used to love Roseanne. When I was growing up as a kid, watching the show called Roseanne, I loved that show.
You like that white trash show?
Yeah, it was absolutely ace. John Goodman. And I've forgotten the name of the actor, but the guy who went on to be in Big Bang Theory. With the curly hair. Yeah, that was a great show. Did you not like Roseanne?
Couldn't stand it.
Really? Why not? Okay, well, this is...
It's cheap comedy. Come on.
Yeah, that's the whole point. You put it on, it's throwaway. It's easy going. No? Okay, fine. Well, maybe a few stoners
Can't
will
compare
remember.
to Keeping Up with... What's the English comedy?
We're talking about Roseanne Barr, though, Neil. So thanks for destroying the segue. You want to now take it onto a different comedy that we're not going to be covering specifically about a particularly famous person.
Sorry.
Okay, Neil, you do that. Go ahead. Well done. Well, way to read the room. No, okay. Neil just couldn't stand it. Anybody else got any opinion on Roseanne? I have nothing but fond memories of the TV show that was from the 80s. But there we go. Anybody else got any comments?
I love Roseanne. I grew up watching it also.
Yeah, does she not now do a? I don't watch TV, but from my understanding, she's on like what is the equivalent of Loose Women, but in America. I don't know the name of the show. What's it called?
The View?
The View. Is that correct? Does she still do that, or did she do that? Am I just making that up? Did I imagine that? Well, this is going really well. I'm glad I've got such an enthusiastic crew that can talk about a fairly well-known person so easily. Jolly good. Well, let's just get on with it then, because you're all so cooperative today.
We're going to be talking about Flat Earth, and we have Flat Earth David Weiss as our guest. Hi, Flat Earth Dave. I'm so intrigued by the whole Flat Earth thing.
Man, could she sound any more feigned? I am so... Hold on, what was the line again? Enthusiastic about the whole flat Earth thing. I mean, could she give it any more of a flat effect? That was brilliant. Oh, I'm going to have to listen to that again just because it was so funny.
Earth, and we have Flat Earth David Weiss as our guest. Hi, Flat Earth Dave. I'm so intrigued by the whole Flat Earth thing.
You sound really enthusiastic about it, Roseanne.
Yeah, I saw Eddie Bravo on your show, and you had this aha moment, and we clipped it, and it went kind of viral in the truth community. So that's how we ended up together here. Well, before we start, I want to just tell you a quick story about how you got me to take a big step in my truth career.
Oh, cool.
So I had a podcast years ago called Deep Inside the Rabbit Hole. And before that, I was doing a lot of truth telling and exposing things. And I was at a music.
Has anybody watched this so we can skip past the general intro to FE? Is there a bit that we can get to that's juicy? Has anybody watched this before? If not, I'm just going to have to spin through and guess where we get to a juicy bit. No?
Stage, and I was like, wow, she really doesn't hold back. And I was like, I'm not going to hold back anymore. So thank you.
That's good. You're welcome. I don't think any of us should hold back as long as, we're not inciting anything bad or,
Sure.
Doing the things that we shouldn't be doing. But
yeah, I agree. Don't hold back. If you know Earth's measured flat, tell everybody about it, regardless of their rejection of your stone cold silver bullet that you can offer them.
When we're putting puzzle pieces together about what they're doing to us in our world, I mean, it is dangerous for sure to tell that kind of truth. But
well, what truth would that be, Roseanne? Could you fill us in on your vague obscurity that you haven't really detailed? What would that be? Puzzle pieces? That doesn't really mean much. Talking very vaguely about nothing.
We have to do it. We have to.
Right. I kind of, I 100% have dedicated my life to this message. People that are listening right now, some of you are triggered. Some of you are very happy that I'm here, but I'm assuming there's a lot of people that are triggered. Why are you even talking about this subject? It's ridiculous. And that's what I said. When I first heard about
I don't know about triggered. I mean, I'm just hopeful that you'll do a good job, Dave.
it on I was doing a conspiracy podcast on all of the big events that had happened, and people started sending me flat Earth stuff, and I just delete, and then they kept sending it, and they posted things on my Facebook. I'm like, banned for life.
I've heard the story, Johnny.
Lower some of that shoreline, and the water will flow away because it needs to be contained. So the world is like a big pond. All of the oceans of the world, think of it as a pond. All of the continents, think of them as just islands. And what's containing our pond? Well, the highest land on Earth, by more than double the next average height of any continent, is Antarctica. Antarctica is more than double the height of any other continent on average. So Antarctica is the shoreline around our world.
How the hell do you know that? Have you checked? I mean, on all the maps, it's an island, but now from island with high walls, yeah, I can buy that. I've seen pictures of high walls, high ice shelves. Okay, yeah, fine. Now I've got to take a leap of faith that it's, 80,000 miles in diameter? Why? Why have I got to take this leap of faith suddenly?
Well, how do you explain when they go up in space and look down and the Earth is a globe?
How is that any relevance to his claim that there's a 74,000 mile ice wall surrounding us to make us a pond? I mean, I don't really understand why that doesn't elicit some sort of response about, well, can you back that with any sort of evidence? Is that just been accepted? No, we're going to go straight to a space question.
Yeah. So
I bet he
NASA,
doesn't. Sorry, mate. Saying Nathan, he won't go to gas laws and entropy now. I bet you.
Well, he's
We'll
been
talk
asked,
about
and
something.
I can't fault Dave in this situation. He's put something out there, which I don't agree with. He's got no evidence to back that beyond an azimuthal equidistant projection of a globe. That's it. That's where his inference come from. Okay? That's just a projection. That's a consequence of projecting a globe onto a circular single surface when it's come from an originally antipodal system of two flat planes with a perspective view of various stars. Well, okay. I don't really understand how that would ever take us to an inference of an outside edge ice wall that's literally tens of thousands of miles wide and long and wrapping around all of us, when there is no such thing to be observed. Nobody's shown this. We've just seen high walls of high shelves in Antarctica. That's it. But like I say, now we're on to a space question.
I reckon now he'll say, not flat Earth. Dave will say something like, well, you won't be able to see the full Earth from space because you've got to go. he'll go into the globe realm now, I think.
admits they don't have any photos of Earth. They say they're all put together in composite. The one picture that showed up was called on everyone's iPhone when the iPhones came out was called the Blue Marble, and Robert Simon, who's a NASA visual artist, explained.
I mean, we're still dealing with stuff from 2016 then, basically, aren't we? We're on a massive podcast, and we're not leading on the front foot going, yeah, Earth's measured flat. That's all the maps are made. That's how we navigate. That's how we build things on Earth. That's how we measure the elevations of everything with respect to everything else. It's all referenced flat. No, what are we talking about? There are no photos from space. There is no space to take photos from. So if you're going to be asking about photos that come from a region that doesn't exist, point out there's no region there. She might as well have said, what about all these photos of Aslan from Narnia? She just laughed. There is no Narnia. What are you talking about? Yeah, we've got all these photos of the lion. Yeah, they're from a fake place. There is no Narnia. There is no outer space. There is no sky vacuum.
In an interview that he made it all from data, and he used Command Z a lot, and he stamped clouds in there using the same clouds multiple times, and
we've heard this multiple times since what, 2016? What, Photoshop because it has to be. Yawn. Meanwhile, why would it and how would it have to be done? Well, okay, we got the how of Photoshop, but how did they trick you into believing it was real? Well, by pretending that there's a second law of thermodynamics sky vacuum above your head to take these images from.
he literally made it in Photoshop, and he admits it. NASA admits they don't have any real photos of Earth other than one that was taken from the moon in 1972 or whatever year it was, and that's called the Blue Marble.
Yeah, again, from a second law of thermodynamics violation journey through a sky vacuum. I mean, this is preposterous that we're still at the stage where we're describing how NASA have faked stuff without pointing out why they'd have to fake it. They have to fake these images for a reason, because there's no space to take a picture of Earth from. There's no sky vacuum to have a rocket with a camera in.
I forget what they call that one, but we took that picture that NASA took right off their website. We put it into Photoshop, and we cranked up the levels, and the Earth had a...
Yeah, fascinating. But why? Why would they need to do it? Yeah, we know it's fake. We've been covering it for 10 years. The reason is because this is supposed to be Earth with high pressure gas that we're all breathing. And this is supposed to be 10 to the minus 17 torr sky vacuum. So the reason they're having to fake it, which by now everybody's aware of, to the point where they're making Hollywood movies to justify the fakery. Yeah? Plant the seed of why they'd have to fake it. with their version of the narrative. Well, we need to counteract that if we're being asked, as we are in this instance, Dave is being asked about it, why they have to fake it. Yeah, we know all the pictures are fake because we haven't got a sky vacuum to take pictures from or journey through to get to the moon.
A box around it, like it was cut and pasted right in there from NASA's website. Yeah.
Well, why would they want us to believe that it's round?
There we go. We're already there. That's a very good question. That's where we all default to. And we'll get into that more. But the reason they want you to believe you live on a ball is because
You haven't got a clue. You don't know why they've lied to you. Dave's about to launch into why they'd lied to him about being on a ball. How does he know that any of them are lying? He can prove malice aforethought and deceit, can he? No, absolutely not.
because they're hiding who we truly are. They're hiding more resources.
Who are they? How are they hiding it? What's the purpose and the motivation behind hiding it? You haven't given us anything. They're hiding who we are? What a vague, wishy-washy hippie statement that means nothing. Hiding who I know who I am. Do you mean the people who told me I was traversing a spherical surface based on model reification after measuring Earth flat were trying to hide who I know who I am? I'm Nathan Oakley. I'm a flat earther. That's because I know Earth's measured flat, though. You know, what I am and who I am isn't defined by people who claim Earth's a sphere. This is absurd. Oh, but isn't it mystical? Yeah, if you're a bleeding hippie, this will appeal to you. They're hiding who you are. No, they're not.
Think about this. Every war, what is that about? Land?
Sorry, every war that I've taken part in because it's hiding parts of me? What is this? Why is this our representative? What? I haven't got any association to any of this crap. This is nonsensical garbage. Wishy-washy, meaningless crap.
Resources, power.
Ports.
Right?
Right. No, not right. What evidence have you got to demonstrate that they are hiding the shape and nature of Earth with a spherical surface that's been reified from models to hide anything? What's your standard? How have they done it? You don't even know. You can't even admit Earth's flat, Dave. Yet you're telling us about the motivation of some ethereal being that you haven't named. Who is this person that's hiding me from me?
What if there's more land? What if they tell us
That'd be a question, wouldn't it, Dave? What if there are unicorns? I mean, we could sit around asking what if questions all day, couldn't we? I mean, we could, but it's just speculation though, isn't it? I mean, we're 10 minutes into this and you're offering up a speculation about whether or not there could be more land. No, that's not the standard. They found more land. New worlds, no less. You can show the transition from old maps without the new worlds on to new maps with new worlds on and show how they function flat. We can demonstrate this is the case. Not only can we demonstrate it, everyone's been taught about it in school. You're not going to get a single person that you can present the fact that we expanded the known territory flat to deny those facts. So what do we do as flat earthers? Oh, well, we offer an what if there's more? No, we found more. You're living on it.
there's 8 or 9 continents or whatever the number is now.
Now? What, since finding more? Lean on that. Lean on what we found. Lean on how the territory has been expanded. Let's speculate about an azimuthal equidistant projection of an ice wall that you've never seen or justified. That for some reason Roseanne's just nodded along and asked about space for some reason.
What if there's 80 or 90,000 continents?
What if there are 80 or 90,000 unicorns? We have expanded the known territory by way of utilization of the stars to expand that pre-existing, less than current territory. In other words, there was less, now there's more, we discovered it all flat. These are stone cold facts. Now, it's obvious that the people who want to punt this narrative in the way they want it punted, that's flat Earth, want us to sound like idiots and speculate about a place where none of us have been. None of us! Yeah, this guy, like a crazy kook, is speculating about thousands of other islands that may or may not be there. They may or may not be there. We have found new worlds with an abundance of resources. We found them! Not even that long ago! What? We don't need to speculate. Right, I've just put a link to this channel. So this is Roseanne's channel. Please let her know at Nathan Oakley 1980 sent me. I implore you to let her know that there is better information. She doesn't need to enter into a flat earth belief. This is Roseanne. She looks like my mother. I'm telling you now, that's what my mom looks like. Just like Roseanne Barr. I hope she doesn't take offence if she listens to this. Hi, Mom. Anyway, maybe that's why I'm getting so passionate, because I can see a lot of my mom's physical characteristics in Roseanne. Either way, she doesn't need to now endeavour to enter into a flat earth belief structure. Now, maybe she's geared towards a conspiratorial, fantastical way of thinking. Maybe my very low-key, simplistic describing how Earth is actually measured won't appeal to somebody who wants to hear about fantasy and deceit from the hidden hand, and how you'll find your inner self with this flat Earth realisation. Now, I don't have any of that crap to offer, but I implore you to let Roseanne know. At Nathan Oakley 1980 sent me, he has far more down-to-earth information. Pun intended.
Maybe much more interesting. I've never heard Flat Earth Dave mention, like, what the globe claim is about the horizon being a physical location, and there's video evidence and photograph evidence to show that that's not the case. Hashtag Black Swan. I've never even heard him speak about that. And that'd be much more interesting. If she's intrigued about flat Earth, and we can say, well, this is the claim on the table. They say there's a distance to it, 1.22 times the observer's height in feet. Yeah. But we've got evidence to show it beyond that distance, which blows that straight out the water. We don't live on a globe. I mean,
They don't want
do you not
that.
know the Black
They don't
They
want
want
that. They
the
want to
fantastical
recycle.
stuff.
They want to recycle what has been around since the birth of the Feast of Nonsense for us as a wave of flat earthers. For people like Dave, all the people that came around at the same time, me, Eric, Dave came a little bit later. But either way, all of these people have come along, and rather than doing what I was moaning about in the pre-show, which is looking constantly, searching the term flat earth, seeing what else was out there, what was new, what didn't revolve around stupid conspiracies, and I was never satisfied in what I found. Well, these guys, in spite of the fact that there is far more high-quality information being put out, especially by us, not just us, others, they aren't researching it. They aren't trying to better their understanding of the subject matter. They're just out there punting New Earth and Ether. And themselves. That's it. That's what they're interested in. And what's proven successful is punting the Feast of Nonsense. That'll get you in front of people. Fighting the false dichotomies. Talking about how the globe don't work. Talking about how NASA don't work. That's what the people want. So they're offering that because it's proven successful. Well, yeah, it's promoted algorithmically. It's the opposition that they need to fight against it, to leave it as a neutral outcome in the mind's eye of people so they can get on with their day knowing it's a globe. After a neutral outcome with a flat earther, after a false dichotomy's been presented, or an affirming the consequent fallacy in the case of the Antarctic garbage that's currently underway. Well, this is the argumentation that you would expect people who represent us to get a good grasp of. It's been 4 years in the case of the Example 1 deck. Knowing how the horizon's not Earth curve, unequivocally, has been in the debate forum for 4 years. What are we talking about? NASA faked this picture. All right, how incredibly interesting. It's not like there are 25,000 suppressed flat Earth videos about the exact same subject. Who cares? You can find that with a cursory search.
If we're talking about the consistency of their results, arguing or communicating the information the way that they do, effectively, most people just have an affirming the consequent bias, because we all know that a glober can easily point out when we're affirming the consequent. They just don't accept when they're affirming the consequent. So if you're going to argue in that way, they're just going to call you out. Or even a normal person will find that as insufficient and, like you said, have a neutral outcome where they can continue going on about their day, believing in the globe.
Correct terminology too, in the globe, for it to work in the way we argue about elevation angles with respect to the flat plane. You've got to be living in the globe to square that circle.
across the plane beyond Antarctica. There's all now, and here's the thing. There's in the flat Earth community, there's people like, don't talk about more land. You know, you can prove the Earth is flat. We can prove the Earth is flat right here from everything that we can reach and test and measure ourselves.
All right, excellent. Now we're talking.
Who was he just talking about?
Well, we'll find out. Hopefully it's good. Let's see what the standard is.
What's beyond Antarctica is speculation, but there's lots.
Whoa. You just said we can prove it right here, right now. I was expecting you to actually do that. You're saying we can, as in speculatively, I could prove Earth's flat. Meanwhile, over in Antarctica, what's going on? Why didn't he actually do it?
Lots of evidence that there's more land beyond the shoreline of Antarctica.
So I could prove it's flat, but what I'll do is bullshit about something I've got no idea about. I can tease you with a nut. He's a snake oil salesman, isn't he? I could prove it's flat, but what I'll give you in the meantime is an Antarctic speculation about more land. You can have that instead, because I could prove it's flat. But speculating about Antarctica is better.
Yeah,
So
but
you're
that's
saying
Roseanne's
that-
fault.
No, it's not.
Why didn't she ask a follow-up question? How can you prove that it's flat to me?
Because people don't know how to ask questions like that. Because again, they think differently. They're not using logic in the way that they're calling out fallacies. So oftentimes their brain just goes off into a non sequitur.
Like, okay, wait a minute. So it's like a pie, and Antarctica is the pie crust.
Well, it's not just the crust. And imagine a lake 100 miles across in the middle of Kansas. Okay. And at the center of that lake is a magnetic mountain, a mountain made from a magnet. Just a.
What?
Oh my God.
Wait, I'm sorry. Is he talking to Roseanne Barr?
Yes.
Okay.
He's talking about Mount Meru to Roseanne Barr. That's what he's actually doing.
It's a magnetic mountain.
Great.
So no matter where you are on that lake, your compass will point to the middle of the lake. You with?
Yeah, it'll point to it in a flat direction. So the compass itself, in terms of the way it operates, proves Earth's flat. But we're not proving Earth's flat with a compass today. No, we're speculating that there's a bleeding mountain in the North Pole called Meru. Okay. I mean, he could be proving it's flat right now, but he's not. He's speculating about bleeding mountain he's never been to. Okay. Right.
With me?
Mm-hmm.
So south is every direction away from the middle. So south, if this is the middle, south is that way, and south is that way, and south is that way, because the compass will always be pointing towards the middle. East.
So that's a flat Earth proof. Is he going to point that out?
East and west are circles around the middle.
Yeah, so that's how our directionality system operates with respect to circles. Outside edges of a compass reading, if you move around the North Pole, will give you east and west. Like circles. Yeah, okay. They're all flat though, aren't they, Dave? Are we going to point out that this navigational structural system that we are all using requires Earth be flat? Are we going to point that out? Let's see.
East and west are circles. This is the Gleason's map.
Oh, I see. So we're on to justification for the ice wall with the Gleason's map, aka azimuthal equidistant projection. I see. Right. So we're not going to point out that what you just stated unequivocally proves that Earth is utilizing a system that must have a flat plane of reference in order to navigate it with those directional systems. You're not going to point out that that's a flat Earth proof. You're going to flog your app. I see. It seems like there's a conflict of interest here. On the one hand, you've got our interest, telling people Earth's flat and how it's flat, and how something that Dave has just literally brushed past as a segue to his app proves Earth's flat. No, that's not going to be done. It's a segue to the app.
It used to be in all of the textbooks and encyclopedias and libraries, and they removed it.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So if you go east and west, you can go right all the way.
The globe projection, Dave. Were you unaware that it's a globe projection? Because if I was to present this to somebody else without disclaiming how the map was made, like earlier when I talked about projecting points onto cylinders, yeah? This is a different way of projecting it. Yeah, azimuthal projection of a globe. Now, without describing how those points are plotted on a globe by way of elevation angle measurements and latitude points, the circles wrapped around the globe, my opponent, let's just say he confronts Roseanne with this map. You know, she paid you a couple of bucks and you got your app and you got your azimuthal equidistant Gleason's map, and then you show it to a baller. So Roseanne, hey, Earth's flat, check out this map. And they go, you know that's a globe projection, don't you, Roseanne? And she goes, a what? And they say, a globe projection? The points on the map have been projected off points on a globe. Were you unaware? And she goes, oh, I didn't get that bit from Flat Earth Dave. Yeah, well, no, you didn't. He was more interested in punting his app to you than telling you that the directional system that's being used on the map, that would be north, south, east, and west, requires a flat plane of reference, for example. No, none of that detail's relevant. None of the information that's been put out for the last 6 years by us is going to be researched by these guys and verified. No, it's vilified! Rather than what's their usual bullshit rhetoric. Oh, research it for yourself. Don't trust me. Yeah, but when it comes to applying that logic to anything that's coming out in the actual flat earth arena, that's what we put out, actual information, based on research, based on formulating good logic and arguments. That doesn't get researched by these clowns. No, they'll just offer you a globe projection with a suggestion that it's a flat earth map. No, this definitely isn't a flat earth map. No, the latitude system on it, though, you know, that is the base origin for the globe projection. And that's measured flat on the earth. Like, measured with respect to the ground to give us the circles of equal altitude with respect to Polaris when measured flat. That's how you get your globe. So you can take your azimuthal projection from it. Of course, if you don't know that history, you just present someone like Roseanne a globe projection and somehow infer that because it's plastered everywhere that they're hiding the flat earth. No, it's a globe projection. And that's what she'll come across if she goes across or comes across anybody with the slightest idea how to argue for a globe. I mean, they'll be given the same old crap rebuttal to this false dichotomy position that Dave's not even mentioning. He's just giving her a globe projection, isn't he? Now, if you can't tell why I'm outraged by this, then you haven't been watching the show long enough. Yeah? Maybe you need others to explain it to you without sounding too derogatory. I can only explain it to you. I can't understand it for you on your behalf. So smash that share button and maybe somebody who's got a little bit of a higher degree of intelligence can explain this to you if you're not following along. But this is an outrage 10 years into this subject. You know, this is self-serving garbage. This only benefits Dave. It does not benefit us. In fact, it does us disservice. It does us especially high disservice if this information's taken by the person it's punted to and then annihilated by someone with half a brain in the globe side of the argument, when they call it a globe projection.
Way around, maintaining your east or west direction, and then end up right back where you started from.
Mm-hmm.
The east or west direction would have proven a flat earth if David had pointed it out. Shame. What a shame. What a missed opportunity.
Right? If you walked around your neighborhood, does that make your neighborhood a sphere? No, you're just walking around it. If the
I
center,
mean, does it make it a sphere? You first got to measure those points to walk around the neighbourhood if you're going to reference it to maps. And the circle that you'd be walking around would be a circle of equal elevation. If you're moving around with respect to a globe to transpose it, you're describing the latitude that you're moving around. Well, that latitude is a flat earth measurement. None of this is getting detailed.
if your neighborhood was the North Pole, the compass would point to the north.
Right. No, it makes sense. But what comes?
So you need to point out how that system of elevation angle measurements off a flat Earth. Number one, prove Earth is measured flat, because those are the circles on these maps. They all have their origins in the system of Polaris-centric circles on a flat plane. Is it going to get pointed out? No, of course it isn't. Why? Well, because you can go do your own research, or not, as the case is with Dave. This information is out there, isn't it? I periodically contact these people about this information and get called a villain.
Compass are you talking about? Any compass will do this?
Any compass. A compass points a compass points towards
north.
a magnetic force coming out of our north. If you got a table,
Pointing to that mountain that you bullshitted about earlier, it's pointing towards that when it proves a flat Earth in terms of how it references a plane. that won't get mentioned. Of course, the mountain that you've never seen and doesn't even have any validation beyond the old maps with old territories and no new worlds on them. They've got a mountain depicted at the middle, have they? Oh, I see. Oh, it must be true then. Forget about proving flat Earth with these systems. There might be a mountain.
Like a nice strong neodymium magnet, put it on a table, draw a big circle around it, and put a compass near it. That's going to take over. It's going to be stronger than the magnetic pole, and your compass will point to that, and try to push that compass west. You're going to have to keep turning to maintain a west heading, because if you go straight, you're going to be going away from that magnet.
Well, yeah, on a line of latitude. Yeah, okay. We've got to measure this line, haven't we? To move around that point, the centre point, and reference it with a compass that only works with respect to a horizontal plane. All of this would be useful to prove a flat Earth if you actually just mentioned that once. Where are we going to go with this? I mean, we're talking about magnets, so I wonder where this is going. It ain't gone to proving a flat Earth, has it? I wonder what we'll use this for. Let's see if my suspicions that this is going to move into something that we despise are correct. Let's see.
Magnet, and the north will be that way, and the
because
south.
on a different plane. That makes
You're just
sense.
going to go. You're just going to go straight.
But I'd like to spend before.
Yeah, you're just going to go straight proving a flat Earth, Dave. Just don't bother mentioning it.
We get into why are they doing it. I'd like to spend more time in your research because I find this because I just to be clear.
What research? We're on his side, putting this information out, and have been for years, and he's not mentioning any of it. So research. Back in the day, I had to search constantly to find information on flat Earth. I mean, this was the kind of crap I found, and now there's tens of thousands of examples of this kind of crap that you can easily find, because that's all there really is, at a surface level. But I mean, doing your own research when one of your own proactively contacts you to tell you about it, like I've done with Dave and Jared and various other cohorts that just continually perpetuate 2015 arguments from the Feast of Nonsense, where they don't actually prove a flat Earth, where they assume certain aspects of a flat Earth measurement, in this case, direction. It's only referenceable to a flat Earth. It's not even getting a mention.
I think you're probably a little bit more open-minded than I am. I'm like you were when you started. I don't believe in flat Earth.
I don't need to. It's measured that way. I'd shove that right down your throat the moment you mentioned belief. What do you mean belief?
Eddie Bravo on.
Yep.
I love Eddie. It was a great episode, but he's the one that gave me your number. We've been trying to book this for a long time, but I think flat Earth is absolutely crazy. So
really? Yeah, that's because you're exposed to people like Dave who talk about Mount Meru and ice walls. So I sympathise. The man in front of you has just talked complete nonsense for the last 5 minutes, hasn't he? So you think it's crazy? Yeah, it really upsets me when people have that attitude, and I know why. Because it sounds crazy, doesn't it, mate? Mount Meru and ice walls? This all sounds very bonkers. Meanwhile, we map and build on and navigate Earth flat with measurements. See how crazy I sound when I tell you those facts? Or maybe when you tell me that it is still crazy in spite of those factual data points that are measured flat being pointed out to you, you'll appeal to some global measurement that I take you to the flat Earth origins from within. Maybe you'll say it sounds crazy then. No, you won't, because it's just facts. It's just matter of fact when it's measurements of Earth and how they get turned into your sphere belief. Those sorts of things are impossible to laugh at. You can cry about them, maybe. But when some numpty clown starts telling you about mountains at the North Pole and ice walls at the edge, then you can say it's crazy. Justifiably so. But this is simultaneously why we despise people like Dave being our representative. Because it leaves you with a straight face looking straight at him to tell him this subject's crazy. Are you listening, Dave? This man sees your subject matter as crazy. While you babble on about bloody ice walls and Mount Meru. Yeah? He's looking you in the eye and telling you you're a nutcase, mate. Yeah? See how angry I would get with him if he even dared suggest that I'm offering up crazy information. If he said that to me, he'd be getting a very stern look. And he'd shift uncomfortably in his chair, I assure you. Excuse me? You think me telling you about how Earth is measured is crazy? No, I'm afraid not, mate. You see, I see your unbelievably idiotic ball belief as crazy. You think there's a sky vacuum in violation of natural law? That's crazy. Yeah, I'll point out all the nonsensical garbage in your own sphere belief derived from flat Earth measurements. I'll point out how absurd they are, and then take you to the flat Earth measurements they're based on. Then we'll see who's crazy. Meanwhile, I can look Mr. Mount Meru in the eye and tell him how crazy flat Earth is, because this is what it's being punted as. It's a disgrace. 109 people watching. Good for you. Thank you for joining us. Has the water on David Wife's brain found its level yet? Says Slick James Bronson. Thank you for the super chat.
So I would like, I have a bunch of questions. I know you've gone
I think
on a lot.
most people do.
No, most people think it's crazy. So I would like you to actually convince me as a.
Looking him right in the eye while he's saying that. Did it sting, Dave? Yeah? Most people think it's crazy, Dave. Yeah? Now that, I would take such a high degree of offence to. I really, really would.
Crazy skeptic.
But then again, I've been fighting against tossers like Dave Weiss for the last 10 years, spewing their garbage nonsense about ice walls and ether. Yeah? So when I get angry about people seeing it as a stupid, crazy subject, I blame Dave. Why? Well, because this man's looked him right in the eye after listening to garbage about Mount Meru and told him it. We all know why it's deemed crazy. And Dave's the reason.
Sure. With some real info, because most people watching.
But I mean,
assume,
this whole thing
are
about
like me.
Antarctica is so intriguing to me because I know about Project High Jump and
Yeah.
all that kind of stuff, you know.
Yeah, so
I know it's like we're not supposed to know about Antarctica.
Admiral,
What you talking about? It's on maps. And we're about to affirm the consequent by assuming antipodal position by going down there. Mr. Beast went down there recently. I've interviewed a man who was stationed there. What are you talking about, Roseanne? We're not supposed to know about Antarctica. Oh, on the contrary. It's there to make Dave make us look like nutters. That's why it's there. So Dave can waffle on about massive ice walls holding us in like a pond. That's what it's there for. And Dave's about to do an admirable job of making us all like nutters. I am in no doubt.
Bird did Project High Jump, the high land that's containing our waters.
Did he? It sounds like, on the one hand, you're rejecting they, the evil hidden hand, as being the reason you can't find yourself, and yet simultaneously what, this bullshit story about Admiral Byrd is to be taken as read? Oh, really? It's almost like you cherry-pick the information you want to affirm your bias with, Dave. Why would you suddenly believe what Admiral Byrd has to say? Yeah? Because it affirms your bias? Does it suddenly buy into an ice wall, per se? Does it have a high degree of confirmation for your shite narrative? Is that why suddenly this is taken as read?
And in the 1940s and 50s, and he said he found more land bigger than the United States on the other side of the South Pole.
So we'll trust this one man, government employed and paid. Absolutely without
South
question
Pole.
trustworthy. I mean, we'll ignore the fact that you're literally conducting an interview on one of the new worlds. I mean, why would we focus on that? Why would we focus on the expansion of the territory? When that's a stone cold fact that no one can argue with. When one man in the 40s went on the chronologicoscope and started talking about how there's extra land that we haven't found and is purely speculative, and Dave is now the arbiter of this government narrative. I mean, simultaneously, the government narrative about how we must Photoshop pictures from a sky vacuum, oh, obviously that's a complete hoax. Look, we found how big a hoax it was. And did you look into the Admiral Byrd hoax? Oh, you've never heard of it? Oh, this is only to be taken literally. I see. So the Admiral Byrd hoax doesn't appeal to you then? Yeah, this is to be taken as read, of course, ladies and gentlemen.
Well, that would be, from where he went from, that would be like near Australia or Africa. You think they would notice a continent the size of the United States?
Do you think they noticed Australia? I mean, it could be that it wasn't always on the maps. I mean, it's not like we found new worlds or anything. When we traversed the territory flat and navigated it flat and measured angles to stars to find our way home flat and used those angles to triangulate our position flat on flat maps. I mean, it's not like we could actually use this to prove Earth's flat or anything. But we could definitely speculate about a story that starts with them all in existence. Maybe we could stop calling them new worlds. Maybe we could stop calling the even more recent ones third world countries. I think that would be very telling if we called them third worlds and new worlds. I think we should call them developing countries. Then no one will focus about how we expanded the territory in our very recent history, where we formerly had flat maps with a certain amount of land on, and then we found more land, more worlds. Hooray! Oh, no. Worlds are those things up in the lights in the sky, aren't they? Those are the worlds. Yeah, not the resourceful and abundant territories that we are living on and colonising. No, those aren't the new worlds. The soil's all in the sky.
And he said there's also warmer lands there, which doesn't make any sense.
Definitely to be trusted. He said there was warm worlds in Antarctica. Says the nutcase who believes in Maru. Warm worlds in Antarctica, eh, nutcase? I wonder why he thinks flat Earth is crazy. I mean, there's no telling, really. It could be anything. What's that? Carry on with your warm worlds in Antarctica, Dave. You carry on.
And then he announced that on a national news show, and 6 months later he died suddenly in his sleep somehow.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, right. Oh right. So warm worlds in Antarctica and lots of resources that we don't use, and we can ignore the new worlds and new territories that were found and were mapped and have been colonised and were discovered and moved back from flat. Yeah, I mean, could be some more worlds that are warm in Antarctica, said the nutter.
So, when you say most people...
stereotyping fallacy to follow.
Most people think the Earth is flat. This is a...
No, they didn't say that. When she and he didn't say that, Dave. Was that an invented segue to move on to your app? No, what he said was, we think you're a crazy nutcase, and he was looking you in the eye when he said it, Dave. Did you just brush past that? Did he say, I think you're a nutter, and what you heard was, I'd like to talk about Dave Weiss's app? Is that what you heard, Dave? Because that's not what he said. He said, most people think you're nuts. I'd prefer you address the fact of the matter when he addressed it to you, looking you in the eye, Dave. Because you were our representative then too, when he looked you in the eye and told you were a nutter after you babbled on about ice walls and Maru. He told you you're a nutter, Dave. That's what he did. Did you not pay attention to what he actually said to you? Did you hear, can you talk about your app now? That's what you heard, was it, Dave? No, I didn't hear them say that, Dave.
Heat map of my
I think he did
app.
actually, Nathan. I think he did actually ask him how he would convince him the Earth was flat, but then the lady interrupted and got back onto the Antarctica subject, and Dave really enjoyed jumping back on that topic. So it was missed, how he would convince him the Earth's flat, I think.
The Flat Earth Clock app. And these are just the people... These are just the people that have my app, which is less than 1% of flat earthers.
That's scary. That's like the Megan's Law website with the... I don't like to see that many people. There's that many people that are on your app.
This is the UK.
Wow.
Right?
That's
and so
wow.
they're everywhere. There's over 180,000, 185,000 now that are on the app. And that's way less than 1% of the flat earthers out there. Because once you discover this, the stories, I never met Christopher Columbus. I don't even know if he existed. And, a lot of these characters from our past, like Eratosthenes 2,000 years ago in Greece.
Measured Earth flat. Let's see if Dave gets onto Eratosthenes' angle off a flat Earth measurement. Let's see how well he does with this.
He did a sticks and shadows experiment.
Requiring a flat Earth. The shadows are presenting angles off a flat plane. Let's see if Dave does anything with this flat Earth proof.
And they pushed that through everybody. Carl Sagan pushed it in the Cosmos series, and it's in school books. And that is like one of the top proofs that kids are taught that the Earth is a globe.
Excuse me? Fundamentally misunderstanding an angle measurement. Dave doesn't understand what an angle is. Yeah, they may have pushed it as a globe proof, but I mentioned 3 times before you concluded that statement that it was a flat Earth angle measurement off a flat plane. It's a baseline and an angle to a line in the sky. 2 straight lines. The stick forms a shadow that creates an angle. You can only take that measurement if Earth is flat. Dave is under the misapprehension that because it's taught as a globe proof in schools that he needs to reaffirm that as a fact. Wrong. It's almost like he's a disinformation agent. Why have you just told this audience that an angle measurement that can only be done off a flat Earth is a globe proof? Why have you done that?
The sticks and shadows experiment. And they say it could only have...
Sticks and shadows experiment. I mean, it's not like I've approached Dave personally to tell him what an experiment actually is. And it's not like he's personally shut me down so he can continually misunderstand and misappropriate these terms. It seems like Dave's just a charlatan. Yeah, I have approached Dave personally to tell him what science is, and he rejected these notions. And now he's misappropriated the word experiment when describing an angle measurement. Not any angle measurement, an angle measurement off a flat Earth that he's calling an experiment. So fundamentally, Dave doesn't know what science is. This is maths. It's an angle measurement.
Happen on a globe. But
Shout out to Vlad on 0 degrees for super chat.
it actually, in the flat Earth model, it works perfectly. In the flat Earth model,
Do you mean it works perfectly? It can only be acquired off a flat surface. Do you mean it works? Works implies that what you will do with the angle measurement that could only come from a flat plane is functional on a flat plane.
the sun is small and close, right?
No, it's an
What model?
angle. He's now going to start talking about what the sun's doing. So rather than just talking about the line on the ground, which must be flat, for this angle measurement to actually function, for it to work, Earth must be flat. Dave's now going to start to speculating about what the sun is and where it is. Who cares? You're measuring an angle off the ground. 2 straight lines, Dave. It's a stone cold flat Earth proof.
We don't know what the sun is. It's just in the sky. It's small and close. So
We don't know what it is. It's small and close. It seems like you do know what it is. So when you say, I don't know what it is, but I'm now going to tell you it's small and close like in my app. You don't know what it is. Yeah, that statement's true. You're bullshitting about it being small and close. Not it's small and close. That's an affirmative statement you cannot back. Quite the contrary. The only measurement we've got with respect to this luminary are angle measurements that measure with respect to a horizontal plane. When it reaches and breaches the horizon, does that mean it's crashing into it? No, it does not. It means it's got a GP point of a piece of land or sea in the distance. Doesn't mean it's crashing into the land when from your vantage point it reaches the horizon. But for you to infer any angle measurement with respect to altitude, actual altitude, not elevation angle, actual altitude, then you can't measure it. It moves, gets closer to the horizon. So if you're going to infer its height with angle measurement, the only thing we actually do use with a flat Earth proving angle, you won't get its height. But yeah, here we are again with some snake oil salesman flogging his app telling you that the sun is close. He doesn't know, he's a bullshitter.
2 beer bottles on a desk and then hold a light over one of them. There'll be no shadow and the other one will have a shadow.
Right.
You can
On the flat desk to give you a flat angle, not being pointed out.
use the same math that Eratosthenes did to figure out the sphericity of your table.
No, it isn't. The angles are what he uses. You can't get angles from a curved surface. You can't infer sphericity.
It's which is flat.
So just to explain the shadows and rods, if you have a curve of the Earth and you
Then you won't get a shadow that's straight. It won't form an angle.
put up dominoes, right, and you shine this light,
Yeah, they won't be angles. Yeah, dominoes that you've just inferred with your hand motion around a curved surface. You've got one straight line, but you haven't got a second to form an angle with.
the ones that are on the curve would have a longer shadow.
Sorry, a longer shadow in a straight line on a curved surface? Because we're measuring angles. Eratosthenes is measuring angles off a curve? No, he's measuring them off a flat horizontal plane of reference. That's what's actually being done. Now, you inferring that he's taking the angles off a curved means that you've gone through the entire process of measuring angles to the lights in the sky. Yeah, like the sun to give us our time structures. And like Polaris to give us our latitude structures. Those are angles off a plane. In order for your little hand gesture to infer that these sticks move around a sphere, you would first need to angle measure the lights in the sky off a flat plane. Then develop a hemispherical system with respect to Polaris. Then discover new lands on maps that didn't have them. New worlds, we called them. And once you've made a few more discoveries and travelled back and forth along the flat terrain with flat angle measurements and flat maps that use circles of equal elevation, you can form a second hemispherical system with respect to an inferred point that we can't actually see, called Sigma Octantis. Then you can sandwich those two flat plane models underneath one another, antipodal. Then you can project the points that only work on the flat ground that you measured up to global positions that you measure through from hell. And then you can do your little airball dance where you take sticks and shove them into a ball that won't give you the angles that you made this system with off a flat plane. Now, that took about 60 seconds for me to go through with a comprehensive understanding of how the globe has come to fruition, with flat Earth measurements being its genesis. Meanwhile, Dave's going to start answering questions about curve angles. Sticks in a curved ground that won't give you an angle.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how they prove the Earth is round, because it looks.
No, that's how they fail to get an angle measurement. That's not how they prove Earth's round. You've missed out all the steps from angle measurements to Polaris to stretch around a ball to project out onto a cylinder to then project out onto a flat surface so we can actually use it when we navigate the surface. You've taken the in-between step of globe projection and inferred that somehow you were sticking sticks into a curved surface to get angles? No. Soon as you curve the surface, you're not getting angles anymore. But you, in your pea-brain basic understanding of what Aristophanes did, feel that his curve angles gave him a proof of a sphere, do you? Au contraire.
Over here, it's casting a longer shadow because the sun's up there, where like a sun.
Sorry, shadows. You see, you seem to have drawn straight lines on curved surfaces here, son. Can you see the problem? I'll just make it nice and big for my audience to see exactly what the problem is. You see, here, this is called an angle. But unfortunately, this line is curved, not straight, for it to be an angle. For it to be an angle, it would have to and does work like this. That would be a straight line meeting a baseline. That is what he is measuring. He ipso facto is measuring elevation angles to the sun. Yeah? So, given that he is measuring elevation angles to the sun, I think it's only reasonable that we actually define what an elevation angle is. In this case, with respect to the sun. Quote, the altitude angle, open brackets sometimes referred to as the, quote, solar elevation angle, end quote, close brackets, describes how high the sun appears in the sky. The angle is measured between an imaginary line between the observer and the sun, and the horizontal plane the observer is standing on. End quote. Sustainable by design altitude angle definition. That would mean that you would need a horizontal plane to be standing on to get a baseline for this angle. Now, while you numpty dumbos seem to think that this straight line's meeting a curve is going to give you an angle and that somehow proves sphericity, no, that's delusional and idiotic. This line has no straight lines. It is a curve. It cannot ever form an angle. Ever. You do use a flat plane for an elevation angle. It's part of the bleeding definition. I've got 20 of them. That would be definitions describing how Earth must be flat for an elevation angle measurement that Aristophanes is doing off a flat Earth. Because this doesn't work. You don't get angles to curves, dumbos. Did you not spot that from your own bloody diagram when you put this into your edit?
Sundial directly at noon, there's no shadow.
Right.
Proving the Earth is round.
Proving the Earth's measured flat with elevation angles, Dumbo. I mean, I think you guys are crazy when you think that a straight line meeting a curved line gives you a vertices to call an angle. My God, you guys are crazy. You ball believers with your crazy curve angles. I see you globe believers as nutcases, mate. I'd look you in the eye when you told me about how you're getting an angle from a curve with that diagram. I'd go, are you a nutter? You think a straight line meeting a curve will give you an angle? You don't know basic angle definitions. It's 2 straight lines, you stupid fool. Weren't you calling us idiotic earlier? You just thrown up a diagram that can't be giving you on a globe an angle to measure. Yeah, it seems like you're the crazy numpties here, globe believers, doesn't it? Yet you've got the gall to call us flat earthers by stereotype when you talk to a singular nutter. This man is a nutter. His nutcase ideas of flat earth are idiotic. Doesn't make us stupid. It doesn't make flat earth stupid. It makes him stupid with Maru and ice walls and extra land and holiday destinations where you'll get a suntan in Antarctica because of all the heat. Yeah? This man's a nutter, not flat earth.
This is, you know, he.
Sorry, was that someone wanted to get a word in? Go ahead.
I did.
Well, I'd suggest you leave a long, protracted silence then, Neil. That's just what we need right now.
Oh, well, I don't know if you hear me. You didn't say go ahead. I told you before I'm on the road, so I don't know if I'm dropping or coming in. A little help would be helpful. He can never point to us as nutters because we would explain it just the way you explained it just now. With elevation angles, with 90s, where you can't get an elevation angle off a curved surface, he wouldn't be able to call us crazy or nuts. What do you expect this man to call, Dave? Have you heard what this guy's been saying?
Yeah, they just sat there and took it. Probably because he knows it's true. When people say, oh, yeah, flat earth seems crazy, and he's like, yeah, let's talk about magnetic Mount Maru and ice walls and holiday destinations in Antarctica. Yeah, let's talk about that. I have no idea why these people would think a flat earth is crazy. Yeah, that's why. I've been saying it for years. This is stupid nonsense. Talk about how Earth's measured flat. Prove it's flat. That's what you should be doing if you're claiming to be Flat Earth Dave. Instead, you're just giving us all a bad name. Right. With that, I'm going to say if you are watching this on either Nathan Oakley 1980 or Nathan Oakley Premiering streams, then stay tuned, as there will be an after show to follow. Unfortunately, though, if you are watching this live, this is where we bid you farewell. So, another massive thank you to all of you who smashed the super chat, liked, commented, shared, subscribed, joined as a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member, hit me up on PayPal and coffee and all that good stuff. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I will see you all in the next video. To let Roseanne know at Nathan Oakley 1980 sent me. I'm sure one of the moderators will stick a link to her video. Hopefully she'll respond and leave a link to our video and help us in the YouTube algorithm where we get none from YouTube. Once again, please let Roseanne know at Nathan Oakley 1980 sent me with a polite comment. See you all in the next video.